And just like that, the playoffs begin. Week 15, episode 13 of Buffalo Boys. It is your friendly host, Ryan, along with the Grand Wizard of Football Stats, your friend, my friend, Todd. Todd, it's been a week since I saw you. We're getting pretty comfortable with these breaks. I'm not sure if our Middle Eastern fans are appreciating that, but good to see you again. How are things?
Can't complain, Ryan. I missed you last week, Ryan. I'm excited that we can have a podcast this week. We're gonna have a real doozy of one this week, and excited to hear what's been going on with you. What's new?
Absolutely. Things are good. Still moving into the new place. Got movers coming on Saturday, so like 2 days from now. It's really happening. I'm gonna miss the views from my current place. Probably gonna post some sappy Instagram message. But yeah, looking forward to the new place. It's starting to feel like a home, slowly but surely. But yeah, man, missed you too. Glad to be on the pod again. And of course, before we begin, got to thank the folks that have been with us since week one, or should I say week 5 or 6. Of course, those are our sponsors who are giving us real cash money to do the podcast. Appreciate you guys. First off, got to thank the good folks at Mattress Blacks. This week, Buffalo Boys listeners who are in the playoffs, this is a fun one, can get a free mattress. Again, Todd, I don't know how Mattress Blacks is staying in business with all these deals, especially this one. This one seems like the real kicker, but Buffalo Boys listeners who are in the playoffs can get a free mattress this week only at Mattress Blacks. And as always, Mattress Blacks, you can get a king-size mattress that's good for your back.
I got a king-size mattress that's good for your back.
We are also brought to you by our friends at Boards Golf Emporium. Todd, do you know what color a Christmas tree is?
Could be green, could be white. My mom has both. Well, you never know.
Okay, Todd, you should have stopped at green. Green is the answer. And those of you who use promo code GREENDREAM at checkout this week get a free box of Vice golf balls. Again, Boards Golf Emporium. Thanks for sponsoring the show. Todd, I just came back from a work Christmas party. There was a drink limit, but the drinks were flowing. I think we're in the same boat as far as enjoying a free drink or 3. I've poured myself another one because I'm just keeping the ball rolling. But first off, what are you sipping on?
Ryan, that's a tall boy you got right there. So I'm excited to see where this goes. It feels exciting. Our happy hour or holiday party was last week, and I was not able to go because it was, back in North Carolina. And not really worth it when there's a 2-drink maximum at the venue. So didn't go back for the holiday party, but currently sipping on a semi-local brew. It's by Funky Buddha. It's called the Hop Gun IPA. It's classic. It's a West Coast IPA, and it's pretty good. What do you got?
That's awesome. Funky Buddha is a brewery I've been knowing for a while, and I've been meaning to check out. I know last time I was in South Florida, there were plenty of other better breweries, perhaps, that we were able to check out instead. But yeah, I love Funky Buddha. I am having the Hedrick's Hefeweizen from Four Saints. They are out of Asheboro, North Carolina. I had never heard of this brewery before. Didn't know they were local to our old stomping ground. But yeah, I love a good Hefeweizen. I thought since I had a couple IPAs at the party, I would kind of ease into the night. Not trying to get too crazy, but I love a good Hef. So cheers, Todd.
Cheers, Ryan.
And just like that, we begin this episode of Buffalo Boys. Todd, I guess we're going back to week 13 on this one, and perhaps you can share your thoughts about week 14, but we begin every week with Quality Control Coach of the Week. Over those last 2 weeks, has there been anybody who's really stood out to you as far as being a quality control coach?
Thanks, Ryan. Our quality control coach of week 13 and week 14 is none other than Jonathan Mims. Mims had an excellent week 13. He scored 160 points, which is top 20 all time. He really crushed it when he needed to crush it. And frankly, I set him up to do it. I gave him the players. He got Hurts on a huge week, on his second best week. He got A.J. Dillon on his best week. Pittman didn't do much for him, but he did a lot better than what he would have without our trade. So he made a great trade. He started a great lineup in week 13. He got another W in week 14, and he's in the playoffs, even if he doesn't deserve to be.
Well, Todd, as you may remember, he was the person that I thought would win the whole thing this year. So personally, for that bet, I'm glad that he's in the playoffs. And he's looking pretty good. So I hope I don't run into him, but that is for another podcast, perhaps. As there is a quality control coach, there also has to be a clown coach or a clown owner. Who is your pick for week 13 and 14, Todd?
Yeah, Ryan, the clown owner of the week has to be Forrest. He's got a 4-loss streak in play. He was my favorite to win the league this year, and he's just squandered a great draft. He's been too focused on getting engaged and not focused enough on replacing bad players on his team. And honestly, he's in danger of being the Sacco, which would be very disappointing because I don't think he's going to take the punishments too kindly.
Yeah, that's for sure, Todd. And blaming his future wife for his bad fantasy team seems pretty harsh, but hey, that's what Buffalo Boys is all about. We're all about the hot takes. If you'd like to challenge us on anything we've said during the pod, we've got the group me open. So looking forward to that discussion. Thanks for that, Todd. Moving on, it is bold prediction recap. As you remember, in week 13, my bold prediction was simply that I would score more points than Rick and win the survivor pool. Well, guess what, Todd? I am your 2022 WPFL champion.
Not quite champion.
Of the survivor pool. You didn't let me finish, Todd. So happy about that. Yeah, very happy to at least be leaving this season with some money. I don't feel super good about winning the whole thing. I mean, I do have a bye week, but anyway, there's some strong teams out there. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, that was my bold prediction. Glad it came true. Glad I have some money in my pocket. What was your prediction last episode, Tom?
My prediction did not come to fruition. I had predicted that George Pickens would pop off against the Falcons, and I think he only got one catch. There was drama in that game where he looked over at Tomlin and the offensive coordinator and basically yelled at them to get him the effing ball. They did not. He only had one catch and 1 or 2 targets, I think. And instead of being a top 5 receiver, he was one of the worst on the week. So can't hit them all, Ryan.
Well, Todd, you win some, you lose some. Don't beat yourself up about it. There's always another episode.
Well, Ryan, do you mind if I hit you with some quick stats now? First up, Doug finishes the season predictably with the most points left on his bench. He left 215.8 optimal points on his bench. Forrest came in second with a big week last week, leaving 24 more points on the bench, rounding out number 2 at 190.86 points. David Adler had an astounding 33.9 points left on the bench last week in week 14. In terms of expected wins, Mike Simpson ends the regular season with 2.31 less wins than expected. That might have been just enough if he had a normal record, normal expected schedule to be able to make the playoffs. Conversely, Jonathan Mims had 1.9 more wins than expected. For everyone listening at home, week 14 was a not head-to-head week. It was whoever is the top 7 scorers gets a win. We implemented this last season when the NFL added an extra game to the season. So in the past 2 seasons, there are only 2 teams that have not won this not head-to-head week. And that would be Doug and Mike Simpson, while Neil and Mims have won 2 not head-to-head matchups each. One of the craziest quick hits, though, Ryan, is that Mims already has the same amount of wins as Rick, and he has played 31 less games in his tenure with the WPFL, leaving Mims with a record-breaking 66 winning percentage. The next highest is Mike Simpson at 61.5, and all the way at the end there is Rick at 39.7. So the fact that Rick made the playoffs this year is quite impressive, or that it took this long. And that's all I got for you this week, Ryan.
All right, thanks for those quick hits, Todd. Moving on, it is matchup rundown review. Last episode was week 13 of the season. I went 3-4 that week. That brings my regular season score to 47-37. I believe we've established this before, Todd, but I think I comfortably won the matchup rundowns for the season. But I would love to know how you did in week 13.
Officially, Ryan, yes, you won. You crushed me. Bravo. We didn't have money on the line, thankfully. I finished the week 13 with a 2-5, limping to the finish line record. I finished at 44-47 on the season across 13 weeks.
Well, hey, Todd, at least there's next season, and I wish you better luck then. Moving on, it is the meat of the show. It is matchup rundown playoff edition. As you know, Jimmy and I have bye weeks this week. Very, very happy that I do. After that awful week 14 that I have, I still don't know how I got a bye week in the playoffs, but I'm not going to question it. So we are moving on first to the winners playoff bracket. Up first, Todd, is my game of the week. I think this one is going to be a hell of a game. It's Doug versus Adler. Here's what I'm thinking about, Todd. For Adler, I like McCaffrey and Kittle against Seattle. That game is tonight as we record. They could have monster games against a Seattle defense that just really hasn't shown up all season. For Doug, success for him means success for the Jags against Dallas and the Jets against Detroit. It's really a toss-up, but if I had to pick somebody, I would pick Adler. But again, I think this is going to be a really tight game, a really fun game to watch. What are your thoughts about this one?
Man, Ryan, I do not agree at all. It's not going to be a tight game. Adler's going to crush it. Dallas is a top-notch defense, and Adler has the Dallas defense. So it's a twofold impact here where they're going to be able to really crush Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. Etienne just had a bad game. Trevor Lawrence is banged up after that almost horrific knee injury. I really like Adler's lineup, like you said, with CMC against Seattle tonight. I don't think Kittle's going to do that well, but I think CMC is going to have a huge night. Zonovan Knight has been having a couple of good weeks here and has a really favorable matchup. I think this is the week that Amari Cooper finally gets right with Deshaun Watson, and D-Hop has just been fire since he's been back. So there's a lot of big game potentials for Adler. Both teams have been really limping into the playoffs. They don't have a lot going for them right now in terms of momentum, but I think Adler's going to pull it out.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Todd. I hate to pour salt in the wound, if you will, but here's a guy in Doug who started off the season, what was he, 6-0, 7-0? This was a guy who had just an insane start to the season, talking a bunch of shit on the group me. And now we're both predicting that he's going to be out week 1 of the playoffs. Just a tough way to go. Obviously, that's how fantasy football goes sometimes. But good luck to both of those guys.
It's really sad for Doug, but now that you mention it, I haven't heard much from him lately. We were getting weekly updates there for a little bit, and I just didn't realize when they stopped.
Yeah, maybe some cell service problems in Denver over the last couple of weeks. I don't know. Maybe they're installing something new at the airport, and it's just messing with everyone's cell phone signal. Who knows? But yeah, good luck to both of those guys. Moving on, it is Rick versus Mims. Todd, give me your thoughts about this one. The two newest guys in the league going up against each other in a big playoff game. Who do you like?
Yeah, Mims really has a lot of high ceiling players here. I think Hurts, McKinnon, Devontae, Christian Watson, and even Michael Pittman could all go off this week. Now, Rick has been the model of consistency, so it's hard to bet against him, and his team is healthy now. He's got Jamar Chase. He's got Godwin going. Josh Jacobs just had his third different injury pop up on the injury report, so maybe he doesn't have as big of a game. I wouldn't be confident in Hollywood this week, given Colt McCoy that's going to be thrown to him this week. So I don't think Rick has enough here to beat Mims. Mims has it.
Yeah, I agree, Todd. For Rick, I love Jamar Chase against Tampa. Unfortunately, Tampa is a defense that I have, but in the last couple weeks, they've just been shredded, and that offense can't do anything. So it's just a bad situation in Tampa all around. But for Mims, I like most of his matchups this week. He was my prediction. Like I mentioned earlier, he was my prediction to win the whole thing. And I think he's going to pull this one off. So congrats, Mims. Good luck. Good luck, Rick. Obviously the game is not over yet, but yeah, we're both picking Mims.
One of the most interesting aspects of this matchup, Ryan, is Rick has finally made the playoffs, and Mims has not made the playoffs. Mims has been the most successful in terms of winning percentage, in terms of average finish owners that West Park has ever seen. Albeit it hasn't been that long of a tenure, but each season he's been here, he's crushed it. And that's basically the opposite for Rick. So it really would be cool to see Rick do something, but history has a tendency of repeating itself, Ryan.
Absolutely. I joked in the group me earlier this week, Todd, that we should kick Mims out of the league because he's too good for us. But honestly, the start that he's had to his WPFL career has been insane. And I don't really see that changing. Obviously, the Cinderella story would be Rick. I think Mims is too strong for him. But it's going to be another good game to watch. All right, moving on to the consolidation ladder. It is AJ versus Nixon. AJ has Tua and Jeff Wilson in a tough matchup against Buffalo in Buffalo, where it'll be cold and nasty as always. Because of that, I'm going with Nixon. I really like Pollard and Lamb against the Jaguars. Todd, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I believe Pollard has been the number 2 running back over the last 6 weeks, so he's really been crushing it. I also believe AJ does not care anymore. He's made it abundantly clear that he can't finish in last, and I don't think he cares about his final season finish. So I think Nixon has it. Even if AJ tried, I don't think he'd be able to win. Nixon's got this.
Moving on, and is your matchup, Todd. It is you versus Hoyle. This is turning out to be quite a rivalry, Todd, if I may. Here's a guy who you were talking mess about his football team. And the week that we put out that podcast, he started his incredible winning streak. I think what did he win, like 5 in a row or something? Just insane. He couldn't lose. And now you're meeting him in the consolidation ladder. What do you think your chances are, Todd?
Fortunately, Ryan, I was able to end his winning streak. He had just lost me in week 12 or week 13, I believe. And I don't think he's even paying that much attention at this point. I think he's all but given up. Obviously, he's set his lineup. He's done what he needs to. But I'm not confident that Latavius Murray and Deshaun Watson or even Tyler Higbee will be able to score that many points. So, as always, I'm expressing faith in my team, Ryan. One big point of note is that I'm starting Mike White over Geno Smith. Mike White against Detroit, Geno tonight against San Francisco. Geno only scored 8 points in their first matchup, and I don't think he'll even get to double digits tonight. So I'm doing the smart thing. It looks like the dangerous thing right now, but I think Mike White and Michael Carter will combine for some good points, and I'll be able to basically lock up the top of the losers bracket here.
Okay, Todd. So I have a lot of thoughts about this game in particular. You and Hoyle, I love the backstory to it. I feel like this is one of those games where if it was in real life, Fox or CBS would flex this to a primetime position just because of the storylines they could talk about the entire game. Here's what I'm thinking about, and I'm glad you brought up your quarterback situation. To me, success for you hinges on the health of Mike White. Here's a guy who I love Mike White. When he's healthy, he's really good, and this is a really good Jets team. With that said, I feel like he legit broke some bones last week, and the questionable tag next to his name, they're just being really optimistic. I don't know if he's going to play this game, and if he does, boy, I think he's still going to be shaken from last game. And like you said, you've got Geno on the bench, but Geno didn't have a great game last week. And I mean, this matchup against San Francisco is literally the worst matchup you could write up. So that one is tough. With that said, I don't like Hoyle's Deshaun Watson choice either. Deshaun is just, I mean, not shown up at all since he came back into the league. He's clearly rusty. I mean, he threw for what, like 275 yards last week, but I mean, still not really showing up. With that said, Todd, I hate your quarterback situation. Unfortunately, I hope it works out for Mike White, but I don't think it will. And for that, I'm taking Hoyle. Moving on, Forrest versus Dave. We're getting to the games that really don't count unless the stakes are not being last place. This game is definitely one of those games. Todd, give me your thoughts on this one.
It's a tough one, Ryan. You know, Aaron Jones is currently questionable. Forrest's flex, Nico Collins, is still questionable after his injury. He doesn't have Damian Pierce playing this week, who's been one of his best players. He's not starting DJ Moore. There's a lot of uncertainty here, and Herbert has had no times. So I feel like Josh Allen against Miami might be able to really carry Dave, even though it's supposed to be snowy and extra cold. I'm not confident in Swift at all. There's just so many question marks. It really could go either way here. But given Forrest's record here over the past few weeks, I'm going Dave.
Yeah, I like Josh Allen versus Miami and Devin Singletary versus Miami, especially if it's in Buffalo, especially if the weather's bad. Those are pretty much the biggest things going for Dave, in my opinion. Justin Herbert had a hell of a game last week. I think his success is going to continue against Tennessee this week. And this one is like also kind of a toss-up, but I don't know. I'm feeling Forrest. I could be wrong, but I'm picking Forrest. Last and certainly not least, our last place game, at least right now, it is Mike Simpson versus Neil. Todd, give me your thoughts on this stinker.
Man, Ryan, there is more at play here than meets the eye. In the GroupMe chat this week, Mike Simpson was saying that it would be better for him to lose this matchup so that he avoids the Sacco risk. So his thought is if he loses this week, it doesn't matter. All he has to do is win the next 2 weeks. If he loses this week, he presumably plays someone that just lost, so there's a greater likelihood that he will play a bad team, so he could get a win next week and then the last week. So I feel like Mike is going to end up choosing to play less than ideal players. And he has a lot of options here, so I feel like he's going to end up starting his not optimal lineup. He's going to be the clown owner of the week, and I think Neil is going to pull this one out.
Okay, interesting. I was not aware of this sort of inside baseball from Mike. Obviously, if he chooses to lose, then he's going to lose. But as far as things go right now, if he does try to set a lineup, I think he has this one easily. As of this recording, Neil does not have a kicker, and even if he did, I don't think it would matter. Neil's team is in shambles. I think he is definitely the favorite for Sacco. It's just looking tough for our boy. So I'm picking Mike.
It's funny you say that, Ryan, because Neil just today said that he felt his team was hotter than ever and ready to win. Neil does this all the time. Neil will always add a player Sunday morning, except last week where he left spots open. But outside of that, he always tries to game the system, and I feel like he'll be able to pull it out here.
All right. Good luck to both of those guys. And we don't have a bold prediction or anything like that this week.
Next week, we're going to have a fire podcast recapping all the history of the West Park regular season accolades and performances, and there'll be some fun stuff coming next week.
Looking forward to it, Todd. And as always, thanks for joining me on the pod. Great to see you. Good luck to everyone. Big week. Obviously, tensions are high. You know, everyone is trying to avoid the Sacco, and those who are in the playoffs are trying to win it all. A lot of money at stake. So good luck to everyone, and we we will see you next week.
Thanks, Ryan. And remember, don't get buffaloed.